suppose the first horse we'll start with is Harry's Bar, who we saw win last Friday night. How did he come out of the race?
Yeah, he's come out great. Very happy with him. We're just delighted. He had a day on the beach actually the day after he won, and he's grubbed up. He's back cantering away, and we're looking forward to our next venture. Yeah,
it's a real shot in the dark, isn't it? Because he's going to be running on the dirt in Saudi Arabia.
Yes, I spoke to a couple of guys. Actually, Billy Lee I spoke to there a while back, and Frankie Dettori has said that it's the best dirt track in the world outside of America. He said it's the closest thing to an all-weather track, you could get as regards dirt. And as I said, we've an all-weather specialist, so we are praying that the horse will handle it, because if he does handle it, he's going to run a big race, I think.
Is there any way you can prepare him for the surface, Ado?
Look, we've a sand gallop at home here, and we've a sand and fibre gallop at home here, and they're either going to take to it or not. And I know probably you'd say it's an awful long way to go if they're not going to take to it, but I had a filly here a few years ago. I sold out there, and she ran on it. She handled it. Bow Warrior, I don't know, you probably would remember her in Dundalk. She ran there last year in the big sprint, and I'd be more worried about a draw going out there than handling the dirt.
Okay. And he's an exciting horse, Ado. He seems to be going from strength to strength.
Yeah, listen, he won the listed race here before Christmas for us straight after the sales. We only had him in 6 days, and we ran him in the listed. Now, it was a bit crazy. We would have been egg on our face if the horse had been beat well. And I'd given him a little gallop probably 3 days before the listed race. And, if you'd have been there and you'd seen him, you probably would have said, geez, you can't run him. But we did, and he won it. And we've had a far better preparation for him now, going even to last Friday night's race, and it proved that he put Joseph's horse to bed quite easily. I suppose the handicapper didn't do he got an RPR of 112, which is quite a high RPR, and the handicapper left him on his rating. He put him up actually on the grass rating, which baffles me that he puts him up on a grass rating and left him on his all-weather rating. But that's what he did after last Friday night's performance.
Have you a campaign in mind for him heading into the summer, Ado?
Yeah, we're looking at the Wokingham and Royal Ascot. We'll try and exploit that grass mark later on in the year in a good handicap. We'll probably see what way we get on here. We look at the all-weather on the Linkfield All-Weather Championships. We look at that as well with him. I think we might have to get one more run into him, but he's a very exciting horse going forward, and he's a big, powerful horse. He's not one of these small butty sprinters. He's a big, huge, powerful horse. So laid back. He's like a 2-mile chaser at home, and that's what you'd love to have in horses like that.
What did you see in him when you were buying him, Ado?
Actually, Stephen had an order for a horse for somebody else, and then he got too dear for them, and the horse was let out of the ring unsold. Stephen rang me and said, Ado, we have to try and buy this horse. He says, I'll take half of him. I'll syndicate half of him. And I made a phone call to a friend of mine that's involved in a couple of horses, and I said, would you be interested in buying this horse? I said, he's a very good horse. And he was hemming and hawing, and then he said, I'll take half of him. And, he got a great return on investment 6 days later.
Yeah. There's 1.5 million in the pot, isn't there, Ado?
Yeah, listen, I won 600,000 here last year in prize money in Ireland last year. And I'll tell you, there's some winning on 600 grand in prize money in Ireland. And we had a brilliant year. And, if we were to run for €1 million at home here in Ireland at the moment, I wouldn't even make an entry for the race because I wouldn't get a look in with the calibre of horse that's here in this country. So it's great that we can run for prize money like this. Even a second or third prize over there would probably, second prize would be nearly half of what I won for the whole of last year. So it's a no-brainer, really,
That's Harry's Bar, Ado. We'll just mention one or two of your other flag bearers. Barman is in on Friday night. How is he?
Bowman's in great form. He's heading off to Doho next week as well. it's a big pot of money again. He's the highest rated horse in the race. Track mightn't overly suit him, but it's tight. But I think his class will tell. I'm very, very happy with us. He's done 3 bits of work here at the moment, and I'm very, very happy with him. He's a gorgeous horse to work with. Like, you die for him. Even Ronan Whelan, that's rode him several times, loves the horse. He's, what would I say, so laid back. He's just a big, gentle giant, and that's the way you could describe him, with a lot of ability. And he's a fabulous horse to have, and we'll campaign him. We'll go for big pots. He's definitely listed group horse on the flat, and he's proved it. And we'll just try and tip away there for the whole year and try and gather as much money as we can.
Yeah, this time last year we saw him win at Dundalk twice. Then you went to Cansimere, didn't you, for a qualifier for Good Friday in Lingfield?
Yeah, that's correct. And actually, it was a long drive down. Like, that's a 3-day drive down, a 3-day drive back, and he took it all in his stride. PC Budo rode him, gave him a great ride. Probably he got to the front a little bit too early that day, and he just dwelt a little bit. I think if he'd have rode him again, he said he would have just held on to him a little bit longer. And, he ran a cracking race that day in France. Really, really, it was a great experience. Beautiful track, beautiful setting. And, he was unlucky. I think he was second in 3 listed races last year before he won his group race. And that's just the type of horse he is. Nearly every day he goes racing, he puts his best foot forward, and he's a super horse to have in the yard.
Yeah, he continued on an upward trajectory, didn't he, right through the year? And that win in the Diamond Stakes, of course, was your first group win.
That's correct. And, the guys own him, the Total Recall Racing Club own him, and like they're brilliant. Like, they're with me since I started practically, and they've been very, very lucky. And for me to win a group race for them guys as well, it was a great night, even though we couldn't be there to celebrate it. But like, it was a great night, and it was something that, we won plenty of Premier handicaps like through the years, but to win a group race was, it's a great feeling. And, we just had to progress into that level, and it's great to have the caliber of horse like that to be able to go out and compete in these races.
Of the others, Ado, the likes of Sultan still, of course, he won 4 for you last year. Again, he was a brilliant flag bearer. Yeah,
listen, to do back-to-back Galways, that was always the plan, trying to go back to Galway with him. And then, I think there's only been 3 horses that have ever done back-to-back Galway miles, and he's one of them. And he just seems to come alive in the place down there. And unfortunately, the crowd weren't there this year because the tension in the parade ring that day after to call the photo finish was unbelievable. And he ran a couple of good, solid races pre that and even after it. And then we went to Limerick one day, and I thought the ground was going to be way too heavy with him, and he just sluiced up. And we progressed then to win a listed race in Naas, which was, he'd done it very, very easy. He really came alive at the back end of the year, and then won again in Dundalk. And he beat Romanized that night. And, there was no fluke in any of his runs that he did there his last few runs. And he's a super, super horse to have. And he's had his little problems, and, we've ironed them out. And I've been very, very lucky to come across a horse like this, because he really keeps your name up there in lights. And, he's just a super horse, and he's a lovely horse to train. He's gentle. He's a big horse, but he's just a super horse to train.
The likes of him and Barman, like, they've maintained a good level of form, haven't they, even in their advancing years?
Yeah, look, I spoke to Dusty Foley there after he won the last day in Dundalk, and he said when he was in Michael Halford's Godolphin, had him down as a Derby horse, as a 3-year-old. That's what he was shown to them at that stage of his career. And then he'd sort of gone off the boil. He bled a little bit, and he'd gone off the boil a little bit, which was, for their disadvantage. It was my advantage after, because he went to the sales and we bought him, and he wasn't a very, very expensive horse, which was great. And, he's really just blossomed since he come in, and he's just enjoying life over here now at the moment.
They're the older horses, Ado. Some people might or might not be aware you've acquired a Case of You, the Anglesey Stakes winner. How's he settled in?
Yeah, he's settled in well. He's here a month now, and he's cantering away, very, very happy. He's a nice, powerful horse. If he stays, God only knows where he could go. If he doesn't, he's going to be hopefully he'll be a high-class sprinter that'll compete in all them good sprints, you know, in Ireland, and he likes a little bit of a dig in the ground. And look, I seen him, he won a barrier trial in Dundalk, and he was very impressive on that. But I'd say a little bit of juice in the ground will help him, and there'll be several places that he can go, you know, that he can go to be competitive, you know, that he can be competitive. And I'm really looking forward to him, you know, being really competitive in all the big juvenile, you know, all the big 3-year-old races this year.
Will you start him off in a classic trial?
Yeah, look, if he stays, God only knows where he's going to end up, but more than likely we will, provided there's a little bit of, there hopefully will be a little bit of juice in the ground until we start to work him. And all we're doing is steady work with him and sort of strength and conditioning work with him at the moment. And until we start to work him, I think if he settles, he will stay. He was a little free and ran a little bit on his, what would I say, on his nerves last year. But I think the more racing he got, the better he got. So I think if this horse settles, he will stay, and probably that's where we will end up.
Obviously, we're on the Dundalk social channels, Ado, so we'll speak about Dundalk just briefly. The winter series so far, it's been good for you. You've had 9 winners.
Yeah, we've had a great winter in Dundalk. Look, I probably wouldn't be training horses only for the Dundalk Stadium is there, because you couldn't close down at the end of October and open back up again in March and expect to have a yard full of horses. It would be very, very difficult for a trainer like me. Dundalk has brought me forward in a sense that I've got horses to campaign there. We've ran some of our good horses down there, and they've done really well. I've used it as a pre-season warm-up for some of the good horses, and it's worked for me, and it's a massive asset to me, and I'm very, very happy with it. And you know, we've had a great couple of seasons in it, and it's not simple. Believe you me, it's probably the most competitive all-weather track in the world.
And I think you'll agree, Jim Martin and his team, Sean Gamble, the head groundsman, they run a great show there, don't they, Ado?
Yeah. Listen, anytime I've ever wanted to work horses there, I just pick the phone up, and there's never a problem. The guys are brilliant to work with. They're so accommodating to help you to do anything, even with weather here. If we had bad weather, and that I rang actually this morning. We worked horses there today, and I gave Sean a bell this morning, and he said, "Ado, I'll be down the track in 10 minutes. I'll video the track and send it back to you." You know, they're just so accommodating, and they're great. They're great people to work with, and as I said, it's a massive asset to me.
Yeah. Friday night, Ado, you've quite a few entered. I think there's 10 in there. What are you going to run amongst them?
I haven't really made a decision up yet. We probably run Merchant of Venice. I think it'll run well. What we run in the rated race, we've Bowerman, Sultan, Stall entered. Them guys are heading for the plane next week. So we're just going to, whether we run them or not is another thing. Raphael is in. We hope to run him. What else? I'm not sure what else I'm in. Oh, Chaparral Dream runs in the 1.5 miles. He'll run. I was happy with him. He came back he was off injured for just over a year, so he's starting to come back into fitness. So I'm happy with him, the way he's progressing. And I'm not sure what else I've been there, John.
And for those watching, can you give the viewers one horse to follow for the rest of the winter series, Ado?
I think Merchant of Venice is going to get his head in front very shortly. I ran a nice filly there a couple of weeks ago, Trump's Dream. She was second, and I think she'll win the next day she runs. She was very professional that night. Joseph's horse beat her, and he'd already had a run, and she finished second. She bet the rest of the field 2.5 lengths. So I think she'll be competitive the next night she runs. So there are 2 horses, I think they're going to hit the lollipop and before the year's out.
Okay. Well, Ado, it's great to have your time. Thanks for joining me. Best to look for the rest of the winter series and for 2021.
Thanks very much, John.